Yo, what it do? SRT gang. It's your boy with the fat SwaggyReacts, and we are back with another reaction video, man. And shouts out to Mr. Nightmare. Now he dropped the video for us, man. I'm pretty sure, know what I'm saying, like it's gonna be a banger, cause Mr. Nightmare like normally always delivers, bro. This is Field Trips Horror Stories Volume 3. So please like, share, comment, subscribe. Like if you enjoy scary videos or scary stories, I drop one of these joints every night at 11 p.m. So hit that subscribe button and join the game, man. I'm trying to get to 50K before like December of this year. So we got all year to get to 50K, man. So like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it, man. Again, like shouts out again to Mr. Nightmare. Let's get into it. Let's go. Mike.
We took a field trip in middle school to a salt marsh in our town. It was for our science class to study marine life or something like that. I don't even remember. All I remember is we were in teams of 2, and our assignment was to take notes of certain things we could see through our binoculars. I was paired with my best friend Jordan. He and I were lagging behind the group because we wanted to sneak off and do our own thing. So when our teacher, Miss Stern, and the 2 other teachers on the trip with us were far enough away, we turned around on the path and went a different way.
Oh, man.
The whole salt marsh was just a...
Alright, see, they messing up already from like splitting up from the group for field trips. And granted, like, well, I never did it, but it was like, I know some kids that did it, bro. It was like, bro, come on, bro. Like, and then if y'all get lost, then we got to figure out how to explain it to your parents. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on.
enough away. We turned around on the path and went a different way. The whole salt marsh was just a large maze of wooden walkways built over the swampy waters. The trip was so mind-numbingly boring to us at our young age that we couldn't stand the assignment anymore. We went off to explore down the alternate walkway that we weren't supposed to go down. It had a big sign posted up saying something like, "Don't go down this way unless you work for the town." So guess what we did? Of course we went down this way. There was a lot of super tall grass everywhere, so we were well hidden from the teachers or the rest of the students. We walked for a while, till we passed this little shed-sized building that said "Do not enter" on the door. We tried the door handle, but it was locked, so we proceeded onward. The more we walked and the more turns we made, the more we realized this place was absolutely ginormous and a literal maze.
Right.
There came a time where we agreed it was time to head back to the group, because we weren't having much more fun ourselves than we would be with the group. Plus, it was getting late and we'd been gone for a while, and we didn't want to get caught. So we started going back in what we thought was the right direction. But after apparently wrong turn after wrong turn, we admitted to each other that we were lost.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Going on field trips, getting lost, and now you don't know where you at. And now the counselors are probably going crazy because they don't know where you guys are. Like, come on, man. Jesus, stay with the group.
But after apparently wrong turn after wrong turn, we admitted to each other that we were lost. Any sense of direction now was completely gone, and the sun was clearly starting to go down. Panic didn't set in just yet, but we were definitely worried. Time dragged on, and we couldn't find the damn path back to where we came from. We tried finding that little building that we had just passed as a sign that we were going the right direction, but we couldn't. The tall, swampy marsh grass was taller than us and blocked sight of everything. The sun was now setting, and there was no way our class and teachers were still here. This was before cell phones were a big thing, let alone among middle schoolers. We had no way of calling for help, but we refrained from screaming until the sun was practically all the way down and panic now started to set in. Suddenly it seemed we weren't alone. Jordan and I started to hear the splashing of water nearby, exactly the sound of someone walking through the probably knee-high water. We started to walk faster down the wooden pathway, and when we stopped again to listen, the splashing was still there, getting louder and closer. We didn't have flashlights, only the moon to light the way. We knew we weren't alone. Something or someone was in the tall grass, hiding, somehow watching us. Jordan basically had a fuck it moment and went to the grass where the splashing was coming from, pushed a bunch of the giant pieces to the side, and then screamed like a little girl.
Oh my
I didn't
God.
see what he saw, but I didn't need to. I ran right behind him down the pathway until we both had to stop to catch our breaths. He saw a person hiding in the grass, though I already figured that before he even told me.
Oh my
We
God.
kept running and then stopping to catch our breaths until the sound of a helicopter overhead came closer. We saw it, flying over with a searchlight on.
But it's the people, but I'm thinking that's the counselors and stuff looking for you, bro. Like looking for y'all because y'all clearly, again, y'all been gone for a while, so they obviously had to call the cops, and now they're doing a search. So maybe those footsteps, those that you heard, was someone actually coming to help y'all. Maybe, I don't know.
We started waving our hands in the air, and whether that helped or not, I don't know. But eventually the spotlight landed on us and stayed there. We expected the helicopter to lower and pick us up because we were idiot little kids, so when it just hovered there we were confused. But what they were doing was showing where we were to the police search team that came looking for us.
Exactly.
After our parents reported to the school that we never came home.
See?
We were eventually found by a bunch of police officers and led back to safety. We told them there was someone hiding in the marsh, stalking us, of course. Apparently Miss Stern either miscounted on the bus back to school, or she simply didn't do a head count at all, and the buses left without us. Either way, she messed up big time, and I'm surprised she wasn't fired.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, like, bro, who, like, I mean, I was saying it in my head, but obviously I didn't say it out loud, but it was just like, bro, like what's up with the counselors? Because, I mean, every time that we went on field trips, they did a head count and made sure that everyone was there. So, yeah, like, she probably got fired for that, bro, because they could have ended up dead or something. So, yeah.
The buses left without us. Either way, she messed up big time, and I'm surprised she wasn't fired. This was easily hands down the scariest night of my life, and it happened when I was so young, too.
That's what I'm saying, man. Stay with the group, man. Stay with the group.
In senior year of high school, we took an end-of-year field trip to Boston for our U.S. history class. Part of our assignment was following the Freedom Trail and viewing historical sites like the Bunker Hill Monument. There were of course some teachers and volunteer chaperones on the trip, but between me and my two friends Sean and Matt, we were all 18, so we easily convinced one of the more chill teachers to just let us go off and do our own thing. So we strayed off into the city and just messed around having fun checking out the place. We checked out Boston Harbor, where we got food at some waterfront restaurant. Then we checked out the Quincy Market and some other historical landmarks. And then finally we ended up at this little cemetery called the Granary Burying Ground. This is where the horror to this story began. There were of course a few other people in this little cemetery besides the three of us. We weren't exactly that interested in it. We were just walking through it because it was basically one of the major things on the checklist of places that we were supposed to see. Anyway, there was this one guy who caught my attention. He was wearing this old-looking trench coat and a small top hat. It was definitely too warm out to be wearing a trench coat, I know that. He had a gray mustache too, but that's about all I really remember of his appearance. The reason I picked up on him was because he was looking right at me, just standing still. He wasn't walking along looking at the gravestones like everyone else. I said to my friends in a slight murmur, "Why is this guy looking at me?" as I walked past them, making sure they followed me out of there. As we got back to the street, I told them more loudly that I was being eyed down by some weird-looking old dude. Neither of them took notice, but I didn't want to go back to point the guy out, so we kept walking. We were supposed to meet everyone on the trip at the Quincy Market at 5, so we started making our way back there. A few minutes into our walk, I turned around for whatever reason to look behind me, and there he was again. That old man in the top hat not too far behind me.
Oh, hell
I noticed him through the crowd.
Oh, no.
He had on his same neutral, almost unhappy-looking face, his gray mustache covering most of his lips. And yes, it seemed like he was looking at me again. He wasn't even moving. I turned back to face forward and didn't see anything. If it happened again, I'd know something was up. And it did. At the Quincy Market, when we were about to meet with the rest of the group, I saw that man again, far away by a street corner, facing me. He almost blended in with the crowd if it weren't for his top hat. I ran up to Sean and Matt and pressed their shoulders to get them to turn around and look. I pointed at the corner that the man was at not even 10 seconds earlier, and he was gone.
Of course.
I told them that creepy old dude that
Of course he's gone, of course.
I mentioned from the burial ground seemed to be following us and kept looking at us, or at me specifically. I have zero clue where he could have went that quickly though. It didn't make sense. That night at the hotel, I was having a nightmare in which I was in my bedroom back at home, and I was hiding under my bed, and I could see feet coming closer to the bed until they stopped at the foot of the bed, and then the man in the top hat looked under the bed at me with his neutral blank expression on his face. I woke up only moments later to a loud thump in the hotel room. I had no idea what it was. I woke up Matt and Sean and the third guy who was in our hotel room, asking if any of them heard that. No one did but me. I still have no clue what that sound was. Years later, I was going through old photo albums with my grandparents around Christmas time, and I stopped on one page where there was a very familiar looking man in one of them.
The guy with the
He was
top
wearing a
hat.
very similar, if not the exact same type of top hat as the man in Boston all those years ago.
Oh my
He also had the
God.
same gray mustache, a neutral expression on his face. I asked my grandparents who it was, and they told me it was my grandma's father. Now, I'm not saying I
What?
saw my grandma's dead dad that day in Boston.
Whoa! What? Oh man.
But the resemblance was so uncanny that I'm almost positive my mind was playing tricks on me. That whole series of events still freaks me out to this day.
That's crazy. That could have. Oh wow. Wow.
This takes place back in November of 2013. I was in the 9th grade, and I went on a field trip with my Boy Scout troop to Alcatraz Island. For those of you who don't know, Alcatraz...
Whoa, 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 whoa. For a field trip? Alcatraz? Oh, man, yeah. Yeah, like, y'all tripping, bro. Ain't no way,
I went on a
bro.
field trip with my Boy Scout troop to
Ain't
Alcatraz
no
Island.
way.
For those of you who don't know, Alcatraz Island is a famous prison in the middle of the San Francisco Bay.
Yes.
We had
Very famous prison that housed the most dangerous criminals in the world, bro. They had to put them on an island so they don't escape type shit, bro. Like, yeah, bro. Like, it's kind of like Rikers Island, right? Yeah, for sure.
of you who don't know, Alcatraz Island is a famous prison in the middle of the San Francisco Bay.
Wow.
We had the opportunity to sleep on the island in the prison cells. A few of my friends from the troop and I had elected to go, seeing as this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We arrived on a ferry around 2 p.m. or so. Our tour guide was telling us about the history of the island and how there were a couple of men who once managed to escape and tried to swim away, but they were never found.
Right.
The common belief is that they drowned, which is very likely because not only is it a far swim, but San Francisco's very windy and the water from the bay is super cold, so hypothermia is also a likely cause of death. As the tour went along, my friends and I were joking around about how this place was haunted. To make things even more thrilling, our tour guide decided to wait until midnight to take us to the execution area in the hospital. My friends Ash, Steve, and I kept trying to scare each other every opportunity we got, like I hid behind one of the dark corners and popped out when Steve was approaching. Eventually, we made our way to the execution room. Ash and I immediately picked up on how bad it smelled, but nobody else could smell anything, and the guide had said that the execution room hadn't been used in at least 100 years. Keep in mind that Alcatraz has been decommissioned since the 1960s. Plus, the bodies are taken away after execution, so the smell would only make sense if there were rotting corpses.
Right.
Sure, there were some bloodstains, but they were like 100+ years old. Ash noted that it was weird that no one else could smell what we had smelled, and I joked around saying maybe some spirit is trying to freak us out or something. We went to the hospital next, and I could have sworn I heard some sort of whispering. Ash and I immediately looked at each other as we heard the sounds, and the lights started to flicker at the same time. The guide told us that the lights always flickered, and then he started to explain how the mentally insane would usually come to the hospital and how there was once this crazy inmate who always would whisper when he spoke. It kind of paralleled us hearing those weird whispering sounds. Later on, a bunch of us played cards in the scout named Kevin's cell. It was definitely quite the experience to play cards in a prison cell, I must say. It was around 3 a.m. when Ash asked me to go with him to the bathroom. I agreed, so we made our way over there. I had finished before him, so I waited outside while Ash was finishing up. I had been waiting for him for a while, pacing back and forth, so I decided to go back into the bathroom and check on him. I could hear the sink running, accompanied by the paper towel dispenser. "Ash, are you almost done?" I asked. The moment I said that, the sink shut off, and I heard a slam from one of the stall doors closing. "Ash?" I called out. No response. My heart froze when the most disturbing sounding cackle I had ever heard in my life came from the stall that had just previously shut. I turned around to make a run for the outside of the bathroom.
Hell no.
I screamed for Ash, yelling this isn't funny, and he replied from the other side of the door, "What are you talking about, dude?" He opened the door, but I didn't stay inside of there. I went back outside and told him what just happened. His jaw dropped, and he had the most worried look in his eyes. Then he asked me, "If you were in here this whole time, then what was that breathing I heard outside?" We both realized that something was seriously off. We sprinted out of the bathroom as fast as we could and made it back to the cells where everyone was asleep. We decided not to wake everyone and to just get some sleep. About an hour after falling asleep, I was awoken to the sensation of someone tapping my back. I scanned the room and saw nothing, but I knew I was not alone. With the slightest bit of vision in the dark, I saw something black in the corner of the cell. I let out a blood-curdling scream. My scoutmaster came over and asked me what the problem was. I didn't even know what to say. Needless to say, Alcatraz has a long history, and what my friend and I had experienced was nothing short of paranormal.
Oh my gosh, yo. And like, for sure, that's what I'm saying, because, again, bro, this is a prison, bro. Like, Alcatraz prison, like, housed the most dangerous criminals, and obviously, like, they killed, like, you know, like, I mean, majority of them probably had, like, you know, like, a lot of bodies that got killed, you know, like executed, like, just beaten to death. Like, bro, there's been so many murders in there, bro. I don't doubt that it's some spirits possibly still, you know, around there, bro, because a lot of bodies died in there, bro. Like, for real, bro. But shouts out to Mr. Nightmare, man. Another banger video, man, as expected. Cause he normally don't never let us down, man. Like, tell me how you guys feel about this reaction, man. Like, how you guys feel about these stories, any of these field trips. Have you guys ever been on any field trips and something crazy like that happened as far as you guys getting lost and all that stuff? Like, tell me about it in the comment section, gang. And make sure you guys are tuned in tomorrow when I drop another one at 11 p.m., man. SRT gang. I am out this thing, man. Let's get it.